At this place in history, we're in Putney. I'm with Executive Director of the Vermont Historical Society, Steve Perkins. What's happening here in Putney today?
So we're standing in front of the childhood home of John Humphrey Noyes, who is a very well-known leader of let's call it a communistic society. They called themselves biblical perfectionists, and it was a group of people who lived together in the early 19th century, and all the things that came from communal living ended up getting kicked out of Vermont, moved to New York. So fascinating topic. So perfectionism was a religious movement of the early 19th century. There were a lot of religious movements at this time, and they believed that they could create the kingdom of heaven here on earth by living up to their true potential and being perfect in every way. And a lot of this related to what we would think of now as communism, in that folks all live together and they work together in an egalitarian way towards a common goal. Another somewhat perfectionist community you may have heard of are the Shakers as well.
And so this community was working towards this ideal in Putney, but then they got kicked out. Why?
The leader, John Humphrey Noyes, wrote a series of letters, and one of them he put forward the idea that he later called complex marriage, in that marriage of the 19th century was an unequal proposition, in that men would own women and there were women's roles and men roles, and that wasn't fair, and that didn't lead to a perfect life. So he felt that everyone should be equal, and by being equal they should abolish traditional marriage, and everybody in the community should be married to everyone else. But of course the community said, no, we can't do this, and pretty much ran them out of town.
Where did they go?
So there were a number of perfectionist communities around, and one of them was in the Oneida Reserve, which was a part of central New York State. It got the name the Oneida Community, and he grew it from a handful of folks to over 200 followers that all lived together in this large mansion house. It lasted for almost 30 years. The community itself as a religious organization broke down, but what grew out of that was one of your first employee-owned corporations in the United States. And we think of it now, we know Oneida Silverware, and that's what they made. And so I went into our break room, and I went digging through the silverware drawer, and sure enough, I found 2 Oneida pieces. There it is. The silverware we eat off of today, based in this fervent religious community of the 19th century.
At this place in history,